Right now, you are a three-dimensional being trapped in a three-dimensional cage. You can move left, right, forward, backward, up, and down. That's it. 3 directions, 3 degrees of freedom. But what if there's a direction you can't point to? A direction that exists, right here, right now, but your brain simply cannot aim at it. Imagine a shadow on a wall. A 3-dimensional object, a spinning cube, casts a flat, 2-dimensional shadow. The shadow is real. You can see it, but it has lost something. It can't show you depth. It can only hint at a shape that lives in a world richer than its own. Now, here's the unsettling thought. What if everything you see around you, your room, the sky, the stars, is itself just a shadow? A 3-dimensional shadow cast by something that lives in 4-dimensional space? This is not science fiction, this is geometry. And for over a century, mathematicians have been building the tools to see what that higher world looks like. Let's start from the very beginning. A dimension is a direction you can move in. That's all it is. Let's build them one at a time. Start with a point. 0 dimensions. No length, no width, no height. It just exists here. Now, drag that point in one direction, you get a line, 1 dimension. You can move forward and backward, but that's it. Your entire universe is a single track. Take that line and drag it sideways, perpendicular to itself. Now you have a square, 2 dimensions. You can move in 2 independent directions. This is Flatland, a universe with area but no volume. Now take the square and drag it upward, perpendicular to both previous directions. A cube, 3 dimensions. This is our world. Length, width, height. Here's the pattern. Each time, we drag the existing shape in a direction that didn't exist before. A direction perpendicular to all previous ones. So, what happens if we take a cube and drag it in a 4th direction? A direction perpendicular to length, width, and height simultaneously. You get a hypercube, a tesseract, a 4-dimensional cube. You cannot point in this direction. Your arm doesn't bend that way, but mathematically this direction is as real as up or forward. We call it W, the 4th spatial axis, at perfect right angles to X, Y, and Z. The problem is not that the 4th dimension is imaginary. The problem is that your visual cortex evolved for 3 dimensions. So, let's find another way in. In 1884, a schoolteacher named Edwin Abbott wrote a book called Flatland. It described a world of 2-dimensional creatures living on a flat surface, like drawings on paper. They can move north, south, east, west, but they have no concept of up. Imagine you're a Flatlander. Your universe is the surface of a table. You've never seen a table from above. You've never seen above at all. Other Flatlanders look like line segments to you because you can only see their edges. Now, a 3-dimensional sphere passes through your flat world. What do you see? First, nothing. Then a tiny dot appears. It grows into a circle. The circle swells larger and larger, reaching a maximum size. Then it shrinks back down to a dot and vanishes. To you, the Flatlander, this is terrifying. An object appeared from nowhere, changed size and disappeared. But from above, from the 3rd dimension, it's obvious. The sphere just passed through the plane. What the Flatlander sees are cross-sections, slices of a higher dimensional object. This is exactly how a 4-dimensional object would appear to us. If a 4-dimensional hypersphere passed through our 3-dimensional space, we would see nothing. Then a tiny sphere appears, grows to full size, shrinks, and vanishes. A perfectly solid ball materializing from nothing, then evaporating. Not magic, geometry. Abbott's insight was this: if a 2D being can't visualize 3D, maybe we shouldn't feel ashamed that we can't visualize 4D. Our limitation is identical. The math works, the shapes exist. We simply lack the hardware to see them directly. But we can see their shadows. When you hold a wireframe cube up to a light, its shadow on the wall is a 2D shape, a square within a square, connected at the corners. The shadow is flat, but it encodes information about a 3D object. When you rotate the cube, the shadow morphs. Squares appear to fold inside out. A tesseract works the same way, one level up. If you could shine a 4D light on a tesseract and project its shadow into our 3D space, you'd see a cube within a cube, with edges connecting the inner and outer cube's corners. 8 cubes, the tesseract's faces, appear distorted, some compressed, some stretched, depending on the angle of rotation. When the tesseract rotates in 4D, its 3D shadow transforms in ways that look impossible. Cubes appear to turn inside out. Faces that were on the outside suddenly fold into the interior. It looks like the shape is passing through itself, but it's not. Nothing intersects in 4D. It only looks that way to us because we're seeing a projection. The same illusion happens one dimension down. When you rotate a cube and watch its 2D shadow, the shadow's edges appear to cross, but the cube's edges never actually touch. They're separated in the third dimension that the shadow can't show. We are Flatlanders, staring at shadows. The apparent impossibility is not in the object. It's in our projection. If a 4-dimensional being existed, their abilities would look like miracles to us. First, they could see your insides, just as you can look down at a 2-dimensional circle and see everything inside it. The Flatlanders' guts, their hidden inner walls, and a 4D being looking down into our 3D space would see every internal organ simultaneously. Your heart, your skeleton, the contents of a locked safe, all visible, all exposed, all at once. Second, they could reach inside sealed containers without breaking them. You can touch the inside of a 2D circle without crossing its boundary, just reach down from above. Similarly, a 4D being could reach inward from the 4th direction, pick something out of a locked box and pull it back, without ever passing through the box's walls. Third, they could untie any knot. A knot requires 3 dimensions to exist. The rope must pass over and under itself. But in 4 dimensions, there's always an extra direction to slide the rope around the crossing. Every knot in 3D is trivially untangleable in 4D. This is mathematically proven. Fourth, they could flip your left hand into a right hand. A mirror reflection in 3D requires flipping through the 4th dimension, like how you can flip a 2D letter R into its mirror image by lifting it off the paper and flipping it over. A 4D being could flip a 3D object through the 4th direction, returning it as its mirror image. These aren't thought experiments. They're mathematical theorems. The 4th dimension has rules, and those rules have consequences. So far, we've talked about the 4th spatial dimension as pure geometry. But does it exist in nature? The answer is probably yes, but small. In 1921, Theodore Kaluza sent a paper to Einstein proposing something remarkable. If you write the equations of general relativity in 5 dimensions, 4 of space plus 1 of time, electromagnetism naturally appears. Gravity and electricity become the same force, just seen from different angles in a higher dimensional space. Oscar Klein later suggested that this extra dimension is curled up, compactified into a tiny circle so small we can't detect it. At every point in space, there's a hidden loop, smaller than an atomic nucleus, pointing in the W direction. String theory takes this further. It requires 10 or 11 dimensions to be mathematically consistent. 6 or 7 of those dimensions are compactified, curled into complex shapes called Calabi-Yau manifolds, too small to measure with any current technology. We haven't detected these extra dimensions directly, but they aren't optional. They're required for the equations to work. The fourth dimension may be all around us, curled into a space so tiny that only gravity can leak into it. Your eyes evolved to track predators across African savannas. They needed 3 dimensions, left, right, forward, back, up, down. There was no survival advantage in perceiving a 4th spatial direction. But this doesn't mean the 4th dimension is beyond understanding. You already work with 4-dimensional data without realizing it. Every time you watch an animation, a 3D scene changing over time, you're navigating a 4D dataset. 3 dimensions of space, 1 of time. The trick is this: we don't need to see the 4th dimension directly. We can understand it through analogy, through projection, and through mathematics. A Flatlander who understands calculus can compute the volume of a sphere, even though they'll never hold one. They can describe cross-sections, predict shadows, calculate surface area. They understand the 3rd dimension without experiencing it. We're in the same position. We can describe tesseracts, hyperspheres, and 4-dimensional rotations with perfect precision. The math doesn't lie. The shapes are there. We're just looking at their shadows. Here is what we know. 0 dimensions, a point. 1 dimension, a line. 2 dimensions, a plane. 3 dimensions, space. 4 dimensions, hyperspace. At each step, we gain something the lower dimension cannot contain. A square has area a line cannot hold. A cube has volume a square cannot contain. A tesseract has hypervolume, a kind of 4-dimensional content that no 3-dimensional box can hold. And at each step, the projection into the lower world looks impossible. Shadows that fold through themselves, cross-sections that appear and vanish. You've always lived in the shadow. Now you know what's casting it. The 4th dimension is not mysterious. It's not magical. It's geometry, with 1 more direction than you're used to. And once you accept that, the shadow starts to make sense.